There are composers who developed their own individual harmonic language, but there's one, in my opinion, where harmony, above all else, defines the composer's voice and his art. Franz Schmidt lived and worked right in the middle of that great Austro-Germanic post-Romantic era, and he tends to get lost in the ranks of composers whose music is regarded as second level. But Schmidt's music is filled with exuberance and animation, with terrific melodies, lively rhythms, masterful counterpoint, inventive construction, and above all, a unique harmonic language that governs it all. So I want to quickly take you through a gallery of examples as an introduction to Schmidt's great masterpiece, his Fourth Symphony, which will follow. Schmidt's First Symphony of 1899 is a magnificent work. It's hard to think of another romantic composer besides Dvorak, whose music is so tuneful and full of joy. But being a youthful work, Schmidt's unique use of harmony is just beginning to emerge here. Here's an example. In the coda to the first movement, which is in E major, the tonic key, the music is building, it's surging ahead towards the conclusion of the first movement over a long pedal tone on B. And above it, the basic harmonies are this. Culminating in this melody, 5 notes, which any commoner would harmonize thus. But not Franz Schmidt, who does this. Arriving on a final, long, tonic E major chord to end the movement. And you'll hear this in so many orchestral works. A long, tonic chord in the full orchestra at the end, unchanged. And while Anton Bruckner, for instance, would write nothing but an eternal, static, tonic chord with no change in harmony, Franz Schmidt, in a similar circumstance, gives us a bit more. The first time I heard this piece, I said, this is so thrilling. If you'll just give us one other chord other than the tonic to enhance this sense of triumph and joy, even if it's just this, that. And my prayers were answered. Here is this entire passage. It may seem insignificant, but to me that one change of harmony was a huge, huge thing. Schmidt's Second Symphony, completed 14 years later, is a massive, fascinating work, but always with a sense of excitement and animation in E-flat. The first movement features this florid toccata figuration in the winds and strings. And as the composer spins this out into a major orchestral statement, it happens. It. And we sense the emergence of Schmidt's unique harmonic voice in a stunning passage that lifts you upward because the harmonic progression is so unexpected and yet it's so right. It feels so natural. I will play this passage slowly, okay? Schmidt does this. We start in G major. Here's where it goes. Here it is in all its orchestral glory. that is just stunning. These are just quick examples from the first two symphonies. For the remainder of this episode, I want to demonstrate 4 basic features of Schmidt's distinctive harmonic language. The first of them is the most crucial, and it's also the longest. It's some form of the raised fifth or raised tonic notes of the scale, and if it sounds inscrutable, it's not. The raised fifth is just what it says. You take the 5th note of your scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this note, and you raise it a half step, and it goes to the 6th note. Okay, it's very common. And the raised tonic is exactly the same thing, but you start on the tonic, the main note of the key. So, using E major again, we had, and these two devices, the raised fifth and the raised tonic, well, I say that they increase the intensity of the harmony by about 300%. Okay. In Schumann's great Scenes from Faust, here is a lovely raised tonic. Okay, we're in C major. This is in the passage with the 3 biblical ladies who are singing as a trio. Schumann writes this exquisite passage. Which is already gorgeous with this subdominant chord and appoggiatura. But now we'll add the raised tonic that Schumann writes. It's this. It's subtle, it's very quick, but boy does it make a difference. The famous English folk song, you may know this, Early One Morning. Well, in the King's Singer's superb version of this, they use both the raised fifth and the tonic, like so. It's in this phrase. How could you use our poor maid? And they do this. Raised fifth, raised tonic. Oh my goodness. For us harmony guys, we live for this kind of thing. Or we die for it, whatever the expression is. Well, you can imagine where this will all lead with Franz Schmidt. In the first movement of Schmidt's Third Symphony of 1928, there's a gorgeous secondary theme, one of the loveliest tunes that you will ever hear. Here it is with its basic harmonies. It's this. So lovely. Here's another fingerprint of Schmidt's style. This turn figure. The little curly cue. It's a melodic turn. It's common in Germanic music. Wagner used it often. In the entry of the Guests from Tannhäuser, you know this. Here it is. It's so expressive. And whenever Schmidt uses this turn in a melody, it's leading to something really intense. Okay? So again, in the Third Symphony, this lovely theme with the turn in it, here are the basic harmonies. Raised fifth with the turn. But Schmidt's expansion of these basic harmonies with plenty of raised fifth and raised tonic action going on produces this dazzling sound. And you heard those dense descending harmonies that almost sounded as if the music was going to collapse before it recovered. Amazing. But let's back up now and examine this raised fifth and raised tonic thing a little bit more. Okay, let's do E flat major. I think you will find this interesting. So say we have a phrase like so, just a short phrase, just the melody and the bass, which already has some intensity to it. Because of this interval. Let's add some inner harmony voices. Or maybe. But if you're looking to really increase the intensity of this, and your name is Franz Schmidt, you can raise the fifth. Or you can raise the tonic. Or if you do them both together, you will get this. I will add a little turn for extra expression. Here it is. Do you feel that lift? Then you can add some chromatic passing tones to it. Okay, and Schmidt used this sort of device. It's almost as if he's inside the music, exploring the function of these two keys, E flat major, slipping up a bit to E major. There is a wonderful orchestral work by Franz Schmidt from 1930, the Variations on a Hussar Marching Tune, in which he explores this dichotomy in harmony in ingenious ways, especially in the brief fourth variation, which we will hear. Okay, the folk song, the marching tune that Schmidt uses for his variations, ends with this phrase. That's the tune. But by raising the fifth and the tonic together in this third chord, this one, it becomes this. And that's just the parting shot in this short variation. Earlier in it, Schmidt takes the middle of the Hussar marching tune, which is this. Bum, bum. And with its normal harmonization, it's this. Okay, hang on to that. But Schmidt meticulously reworks the harmonies note by note, like so. Is just spinning. The equilibrium just keeps shifting. Happens so quickly. And Schmidt is not just being clever with these harmonies. It's impossible to describe it, but his technique is able to pull the music in and out of the tonal path that we follow as we listen. It's very subtle. Here now is this entire fourth variation. It's very short, which exists in two keys at once, E flat major and E major, sort of tilting or slipping in and out of one another. Brilliantly designed and written. Now, before we leave this point, I want to briefly mention two other prominent German composers of the era who are known for their chromatic style, Richard Strauss and Max Reger. But their slippery chromaticism is quite different from Schmidt's. Reger is so dense and murky to me that it's almost incoherent. It doesn't really follow naturally. And Strauss almost seemed to be amusing himself by quickly slipping in and out of unrelated keys. Here we are in A major. This is from Strauss's very late, very exquisite work, his oboe concerto. We're in A major, but listen to this. Look, Ma, I'm in A flat. Just kidding. It's really A major. It's novel. Schmidt, on the other hand, leads you carefully through his very carefully designed harmonic plan. You always feel where the music is going, which is the sign of a true master composer. And that's the first of these four basic features of his music, the raised fifth and the raised tonic. Okay, the remaining three we can do very quickly. Number two, Schmidt was born in Bratislava, Slovakia, part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and he sometimes uses a distinctive Hungarian gypsy mode, always in music of deeply expressive character, music that is florid, it's sort of exalted and soaring and rhapsodic. Now, someone please explain to me why that music is not in every orchestra's repertoire. It is the intermezzo from Schmidt's opera Notre Dame, which is based on Victor Hugo's Hunchback novel. And this music is a portrait of the exotic gypsy maiden Esmeralda. And I'm sure you caught many of those trademark Schmidt harmonic touches. And wait till you hear this Hungarian idiom and its effect in the Great Fourth Symphony, to which this episode is but an introduction. One more example now of this Hungarian mode. Back to Schmidt's exuberant Second Symphony. The second movement is a theme and variations. And here is the end of the eighth variation in Schmidt's soaring Hungarian mode. Just glorious. Did you notice that big descending chromatic passage with where the music seemed to falter? More on that in just a minute. Okay. The third feature that I will mention is the fantasy or mystical quality that Schmidt creates through his harmonies. Here again is the first movement of the Second Symphony, this very complex web of light orchestral filigree. Schoenberg's massive Gurrelieder cantata had just been premiered in Vienna this time, and a glance at the scores of Schoenberg and Schmidt, both incidentally born in 1874, shows definite similarities in the orchestral writing in this passage. My late brother used to refer to this quality as Schmidt in outer space. And the fourth and the last, very important, is Schmidt's chromatic descent. It's often a collapse in the progress of the music. You heard it just a minute ago in the Hungarian variation of the Second Symphony. And these passages, the intensity rises to such a pitch that it just seems to blow out and deflate. It's often signaled by a mighty stroke of the tam-tam, the gong in the orchestra. This becomes more significant in his later works. Here again, in the Hussar variations, the collapse leads to one of several soulful Hungarian episodes. All of these traits in Schmidt's music point ahead to the unique experience of his Fourth Symphony. The sweeping Hungarian theme that you'll hear in the first movement, the dramatic collapse passages at crucial junctures, the ethereal mystical quality, which becomes far more meditative and less fanciful, and the deepening of the intensity of the personal harmonic language of the composer. So thank you for watching and listening, and I hope that this introductory episode will heighten your appreciation and anticipation of the great masterpiece that follows. In the meantime, here is the magnificent Baroque-style chorale from the finale of Schmidt's youthful and joyous Symphony No. 1.